Between two immense deserts, a narrow sea conceals an extraordinary world. From above, the Red Sea resembles a blue passage carved through sand and stone. At first, this ancient sea appears calm, clear, and almost impossibly peaceful. Yet the peaceful surface reveals only the first layer of the seal's story.
Beneath the light, the sea becomes warmer, saltier, and far stranger.
Every meter carries us farther from the familiar world above. This sea survives within one of Earth's hottest and driest regions. Along its shores, the living sea meets a landscape shaped by thirst. Few great rivers carry fresh water or sediment into this isolated sea. Without heavy sediment, sunlight travels unusually deep into the sea. Its clarity is not emptiness, but the signature of an ocean shaped by absence. Day after day, the desert sun pours heat into this narrow sea. Heat removes water from the sea, while much of its salt remains behind.
The remaining seawater becomes warmer, denser, and increasingly rich in salt.
Invisible currents carry salt, heat, oxygen, and life throughout the sea. To the south, the sea narrows toward its only great ocean gateway. Here, Bab el-Mandeb connects the Red Sea with the wider Indian Ocean. Through this narrow channel, the sea exchanges water with the world beyond. The calm surface conceals a sea that is never truly still. Tides and currents give this enclosed sea a slow and persistent pulse. But the forces shaping this sea do not begin at the surface. To understand the Red Sea, we must descend beneath its visible beauty. Even the sand records the hidden movement of the sea. Beneath the soft sediment lies evidence of a far more violent origin. The deeper story of this sea is written inside the crust of the Earth. The sea rests above a rift where the planet is slowly pulling itself apart. Africa and Arabia separate here, one silent movement at a time. The movement is slow, but it continually reshapes the entire sea basin. Heat rises beneath the sea from a planet that remains restless. Black volcanic rock preserves the memory of the seal's continuing birth. Geologically, the Red Sea is not finished. It is an ocean still being born. The surface seems timeless, while the world beneath it continues to change. This sea is young to the Earth, yet ancient within the memory of the world. For countless generations, the sea has carried stories through darkness and light. Every sunrise reveals the same surface, but never every secret beneath it. Even the desert enters the sea, carried by wind across the ancient coast. Each falling grain becomes part of the sea's hidden chemistry. Clear water does not mean an empty sea. life exists at every scale. At the edge of the sea, survival depends on enduring heat, salt, and change. Every creature must find the narrow conditions where life remains possible. Small changes in depth can transform the character of the entire sea. Here, brightness and darkness can exist only a few meters apart. Beyond the safety of the coast, the sea becomes deeper and harder to read. Beneath the water lies a hidden landscape of ridges, valleys, and broken rock. The seafloor guides currents through passages that sunlight can barely reach. Ahead, the darkness begins to surrender to an unexpected glow. At the boundary between desert and sea, living architecture begins to rise. Stone, sunlight, and living coral have built a city beneath the sea. Within this underwater city, every shape offers shelter, opportunity, or danger. To enter this city beneath the sea is to discover a world where every color conceals a struggle for survival. Within this city beneath the sea, survival begins with finding the right place to hide. The coral reef is more than scenery. It is the architecture of life beneath the sea. Each coral colony is formed by countless living animals working across generations.
Though nearly motionless, these animals feed from the restless sea around them.
Over time, their skeletons become walls, towers, and passages beneath the sea. The living surface rises upon foundations built by an ancient sea. For small fish, the coral city offers both food and protection from the open sea. They enter exposed water to feed, but never travel far from safety. In this sea, a shadow can turn abundance into silence within a heartbeat. A gap only centimeters wide can become the difference between life and death. When danger passes, the rhythm of the sea begins again.
Parrotfish help shape the reef by scraping algae from hard surfaces.
Every bite clears space and slowly transforms the landscape beneath the sea.
Even coral stone can eventually become sand through the work of living creatures.
On the seafloor, survival may depend on becoming almost invisible.
Buried beneath the sand, the ray watches the sea without revealing its body. Patience allows a hidden hunter to wait until opportunity comes close.
With a few powerful movements, the hunter becomes a silent traveler of the sea. Other residents survive through precision rather than speed or strength. Partnership can offer another advantage within the crowded sea. Some creatures survive by forming alliances with other forms of sea life. Protected by the anemone, the clownfish gains a shelter few predators can enter. In return, the fish guards and maintains its living refuge beneath the sea. Not every hunter reveals itself beneath the clear sea. Its open jaws are not a threat alone, but part of how it breathes.
Scent and vibration allow it to examine the sea beyond the darkness. In the reef, energy is precious, and not every opportunity is worth pursuit. The lionfish uses beauty as both camouflage and warning beneath the sea. Its patterns make a dangerous body difficult to read among the coral.
Slow movement becomes an advantage when the sea offers little room to escape.
Elsewhere in the sea, cooperation temporarily replaces conflict.
At cleaning stations, predators permit tiny fish to approach without becoming prey.
Repeated signals create islands of trust within a dangerous sea.
Larger travelers use the reef as a place to feed, rest, and recover. A single reef can provide many kinds of food within the surrounding sea.
When its visit ends, the turtle returns to the wider sea.
The coral city contains many rooms, each shaped by light, depth, and current.
Along the sandy streets, specialized hunters search for prey buried from sight. One animal's search can create an opportunity for many others in the sea. Together, small fish can confuse predators through movement, reflection, and number. At the boundary of the reef, a patient hunter studies every movement.
Stillness allows the predator to disappear against the brightness of the sea. A coordinated school can transform hundreds of vulnerable bodies into one elusive shape. The sea quickly returns to order, though danger never truly leaves.
As the light changes, the balance of the reef changes with it. One community withdraws, while another prepares to claim the night sea. At the city's outer boundary, larger predators patrol the meeting point of reef and sea. The reef edge concentrates movement, making it one of the seal's richest hunting grounds. Beyond the last coral shelter, the familiar world ends without warning. And where the coral city falls away, the Red Sea opens its doorway into darkness. Beyond the coral city, the sea falls away into a world ruled by depth. Only a short distance separates the brilliant reef from the darker sea below. As sunlight weakens, the sea slowly removes color from everything it touches. Red vanishes first, followed by orange, yellow, and the familiar colors of the surface. Above, the sunlit sea already feels like another world. Along the wall, sea fans turn their bodies toward currents carrying invisible food. Even in fading light, life survives by harvesting what the sea delivers. The wall is not an empty boundary. It is a highway of moving water. Small fish gather where the sea concentrates nourishment against the stone. But every feeding ground in the sea can also become a hunting ground. Speed dominates where shelter ends and the open sea begins. The sea leaves few signs of struggle, and silence quickly returns. Near the stone, Another hunter relies on concealment rather than pursuit.
Camouflage allows the predator to become part of the sea's architecture. In the deepening sea, survival depends on recognizing danger before it moves.
With less sunlight, the community along the wall begins to change.
Below the coral zone, filter feeders occupy the remaining surfaces. Tiny creatures turn every hollow into a shelter within the sea. A few meters from the wall, the protection of structure disappears.
Here, the sea offers no landmarks, no cover, and no visible end.
Travelers appear without warning and vanish before the sea reveals their destination.
Together, their reflective bodies confuse distance, direction, and number. The school bends around danger like water flowing around stone. The wall remains a reliable path through an otherwise featureless sea. Within the stone, the sea has opened passages untouched by daylight.
Inside the cavern, life depends on currents and food carried from the outer sea. Where vision offers little advantage, touch becomes a map of the surrounding sea.
Every change in pressure reveals a connection to the sea beyond the rock.
The cavern opens into a blue hole, a vertical doorway within the sea.
Its perfect boundary makes the depth appear almost separate from the surrounding sea. But this darkness was shaped by geology, erosion, and ancient changes in sea level. Long before the sea filled this chamber, water carved weaknesses through the stone. When the ocean rose, the flooded cavern became an entrance into the deep. Many reef fish remain near the light, unwilling to abandon the shelter above. Below them, the sea becomes colder, heavier, and increasingly still.
In enclosed depths, limited circulation can alter the chemistry of the sea.
As oxygen declines, familiar life can no longer follow. Beyond the chamber, the sea opens into an even greater darkness.
Gravity carries sand and organic remains toward the deepest regions of the sea. For deep-sea life, falling remains become a fragile connection to the surface. In darkness, even the smallest piece of food is too valuable to waste.
Slow movement conserves energy where the sea provides little nourishment. The color of the seabed signals that the chemistry is changing again. Warm fluid rises through fractures hidden beneath the floor of the sea. The ocean is approaching a place where heat and salt rewrite the rules of life. Dense water gathers in the lowest basins, where ordinary seawater struggles to mix. Ahead, the seafloor seems to hold a shoreline where no shoreline should exist. The animals sense a boundary invisible to eyes, but dangerous to cross. This is not the bottom of the sea, but another body of water hidden within it. At the edge of this lake beneath the sea, the Red Sea's deepest secrets begin to feel almost alien. A lake lies beneath the sea, separated from the ocean by the weight of its own salt.
Its water is so dense that it behaves like a separate body within the sea.
A visible boundary divides two worlds governed by different chemistry.
For most animals, crossing this boundary can be dangerous or fatal.
A few centimeters can separate habitable sea from an environment without oxygen. The lake reflects the surrounding sea, like dark glass laid across the seabed. Even moving seawater struggles to penetrate the dense liquid below.
Salt increases the weight of the water and prevents the layers from mixing easily.
Below the surface, the sea changes into a heavy world of darkness and salt. Ordinary marine life disappears where oxygen becomes scarce and salinity becomes extreme. Yet even here, microscopic life finds ways to survive within the sea. Each layer contains organisms adapted to a narrow chemical world. Instead of sunlight, some microbes draw energy from chemical reactions. A seemingly lifeless lake can contain an ecosystem invisible to the eye. The brine preserves a chemical archive written into the floor of the sea. Layer by layer, the sea records changes in heat, salt, minerals, and microbial life. Above the boundary, familiar seawater returns, but the mystery continues below. Some predators use the edge of the poisonous lake as a natural hunting ground. Even a deadly boundary can become an opportunity for life adapted to its dangers. Mineral stains lead away from the lake toward another source of energy beneath the sea. Heat is rising through fractures connected to the planet's interior.
Seawater enters the crust through openings hidden across the seabed.
Deep below the sea, the descending water approaches intensely heated stone.
As its temperature rises, the water extracts minerals from the oceanic crust.
Pressure forces the altered fluid back toward the floor of the sea. The fluid returns to the sea, carrying heat and material from inside the earth.
Sudden cooling causes dissolved minerals to solidify within the ocean.
Over time, these particles build chimneys from the chemistry of the sea.
The chimney appears to smoke, yet everything around it remains beneath the sea. Currents carry the vent's chemical signature far beyond its source.
At the base of the vent, microbes transform chemical energy into living matter. Here, life begins with reactions between seawater, minerals, and heat.
Small animals feed, where microbial life turns the Earth's chemistry into food.
Every species occupies a precise distance from the vent's dangerous heat.
Too close, the water can be lethal. Too far, the chemical energy disappears.
Two sources of life meet here: material falling from above and energy rising from below. The deep sea is not silent. Its floor is breathing through countless fractures.
Tectonic movement can alter this hidden landscape without warning. When one passage closes, pressure may open another route into the sea.
Vent fields live by a geological rhythm measured in years and centuries. The moving sea spreads metal-rich particles across the surrounding basin.
These deposits reveal an ocean connected directly to the planet's inner processes. Animals in this sea navigate through pressure, scent, vibration, and faint traces of light. Where sunlight cannot reach, living creatures create light of their own. The deep ocean becomes a night sky, hidden beneath another world. But not every shape in the darkness was created by nature. Among the fractured stone lies an object shaped by a different history. The sea has claimed the remains and begun transforming metal into habitat.
Rooms once built for another purpose now shelter generations of marine life. Here, beneath the ancient sea, human history has become part of the living ocean.
The sea does not erase the past. It absorbs history and gives it another form.
A vessel built to cross the sea now rests permanently beneath it.
Salt, current, and living growth slowly soften every manufactured edge.
Metal reacts with the sea, beginning a transformation that may continue for centuries. Piece by piece, the vessel becomes part of the sediment beneath the sea.
The broken hull creates refuge where the flat seabed once offered none. Passages built for movement now guide fish through an artificial reef.
The sea enters every chamber through openings widened by time. An empty hold has become a nursery, protected from the open sea.
Shelter attracts prey, and prey eventually attracts hunters.
Within these metal walls, the ancient rhythm of pursuit continues.
Even the smallest cavities become valuable territory beneath the sea. New relationships emerge within structures never intended to support life. Every opening connects the wreck to the wider sea surrounding it. Raised surfaces capture currents and offer coral a place to grow.
Current turns abandoned metal into a foundation for a living community.
The wreck rises from the seabed like an island within the sea. Where fish gather in number, predators are never far away. The structure provides escape routes unavailable across the exposed seafloor. For a young fish, a narrow gap can turn a ruin into sanctuary. When danger passes, life flows back into every abandoned space.
Objects once defined by purpose now survive only through shape. The sea teaches new inhabitants to use the patterns of the past. Intelligence finds opportunity in a world of chambers, shadows, and concealed exits. Beyond the hull, another trail of metal disappears beneath the sea.
sediment slowly buries the evidence that living water has not yet consumed.
Not every submerged memory beneath this sea was made from steel.
Long before modern vessels, earlier journeys also left traces on the seabed.
Broken vessels preserve echoes of trade across an ancient sea. A simple container can outlast the journey, its cargo, and the world that shaped it.
The sea assigns new purpose to every object it receives.
Together, isolated fragments can reveal the path of a forgotten loss. Beneath the sediment, the remains of a much older vessel still endure.
Unlike steel, wood returns to the sea through the work of living decomposers. The seabed conceals history, reveals it, and then conceals it again.
A single change in current can uncover a chapter hidden for centuries.
But the sea allows only a brief view before reclaiming its secrets.
Across this sea, different ages of history rest within the same darkness.
Materials change across time, but the sea eventually transforms them all.
The transformation from wreckage to reef unfolds slowly, colony after colony. Every exposed surface becomes contested territory within the sea. Living growth softens the boundary between manufactured structure and natural reef. The artificial island becomes connected to the greater network of the sea. Movement carries life, energy, and risk between separate underwater habitats. The open channel remains dangerous, but connection is essential to the living sea.
A shipwreck can offer shelter, but the health of the surrounding sea sustains its community.
Yet even this transformed history cannot escape changes spreading through the ocean.
Rising temperature places stress on life attached to both reef and wreck. The strongest communities of the sea can weaken when pressure arrives too quickly. The past has survived beneath this sea, but its future now depends on what happens next. The final secret of this ancient sea does not belong to the past, but to its uncertain future. Coral can endure changing conditions, but every living system has a limit. When the sea remains too warm for too long, the partnership sustaining coral begins to fail.
Microscopic algae provide coral with energy, color, and much of its ability to survive.
Under prolonged stress, the coral expels its partners and begins to turn white.
Bleaching does not always mean death, but it leaves the reef dangerously weakened.
As coral loses strength, the entire community of the sea begins to change.
Yet some corals in the northern Red Sea possess an extraordinary tolerance for heat.
In conditions that damage other reefs, these coral cities can continue to live. Their resilience may preserve clues to the future survival of coral across the ocean. But resilience is not immortality, and heat is only one threat facing the sea.
Sediment and pollution can block light and disturb the delicate balance of coastal waters.
When particles cover coral, The reef must spend precious energy cleaning itself. Repeated stress can exhaust even coral adapted to an extreme sea. Waste carried by currents can reach habitats far from the place where it entered the sea. A single fragment can shade, scrape, and slowly injure a living colony. Animals cannot always distinguish artificial debris from objects naturally found in the sea. As waste breaks apart, it becomes harder to see, but remains within the ocean.
Invisible fragments can enter the same food web that connects every level of the sea.
What enters the smallest bodies can travel through the entire marine community.
Physical damage can destroy in seconds what the sea required centuries to build. Once detached, many coral fragments cannot survive the movement of the sea.
After coral is weakened, algae can rapidly claim the empty surfaces.
Grazing fish help prevent algae from overwhelming the reef.
The health of coral depends on animals performing countless ecological tasks.
When key fish disappear, the balance of the sea can change with surprising speed. Without clean stone, a new generation of coral may find nowhere to begin. Every coral city begins with tiny travelers carried by the sea. Its future may depend on a space no larger than a grain of sand. When conditions align, a new coral colony takes its first hold upon the sea.
Recovery begins slowly, one living polyp and one season at a time.
As structure returns, the sea begins rebuilding its community around it.
Coral reefs are only one part of a much larger connected sea.
Seagrass provides nurseries, feeding grounds, and refuge for young marine life. Healthy habitats exchange life through pathways created by moving seawater. Along sheltered shores, mangrove roots create another gateway into the sea. These roots offer shelter while releasing nourishment into coastal waters. Even a fallen leaf can transfer energy from the desert coast into the sea. Mangroves, seagrass, coral, and open water survive as parts of one connected system. What happens near the coast can travel into the deepest regions of the sea.
Even environments hidden far below remain connected to changes at the surface. The deep sea continues its geological rhythm, unaware of the rapid transformation above. From sunlight to chemical energy, every world within this sea depends upon balance. History, geology, and life have become inseparable beneath these ancient waters. Every layer reveals a different sea, yet none can survive entirely alone. Resilience remains possible when the sea is given time, space, and stability. From the surface, the Red Sea still appears calm, clear, and eternal. But beneath that clarity live worlds whose future is being decided now.
Its greatest secret is not one creature, one wreck, or one hidden lake, but the way one sea holds so many worlds together.
The Red Sea is still moving, still breathing, and still guarding mysteries beneath its ancient waters.